Is designer makeup a flex or is it actually good? That's what we're going to be talking about today. I have recently been trying a lot of designer makeup, and this is not a category of makeup that I really was into a few years ago. And there's a few reasons for that. One, I didn't have the money, so you know, designer stuff tends to be expensive. And even though I feel like designer makeup is kind of the more approachable or kind of like introductory form of a designer house, it's still expensive for what it is. So money for sure was a factor. But I've also only more recently been into more neutrals or subtler makeup. And I feel like designer makeup falls into that category a lot. Back in the day, I always think of like Dior Quince, and I was never interested in those. I was like, these are so boring. The finishes are so boring, the colors are so boring, but now I kind of get it. So I thought I would go over some products with you, do a full face, let you guys know about the designer makeup that's in my collection, what I think is worth it, what I think is just a flex. I mean, let's be real, anything with these logos, Dior, Givenchy, Gucci, Valentino, there's a level of flex just naturally. I feel like that's kind of the nature of designer stuff. But I want to let you know, for anyone who like wants to know if the makeup's actually good, I'm going to give you my thoughts, who I think it's best for, all that. So let's get into it. After I pin my little hair back. Okay. I feel like this Valentino V-Lighter was kind of the start of this journey for me. I was going into trying this expecting to just laugh at. I mean, it sounds so harsh, but it's so true. This is a primer slash highlighter. It's kind of like a Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood's Flawless Filter type of thing, but I feel like this is for the oily girls, okay? If you've tried the Hollywood Flawless Filter, which don't get me wrong, I do like that product, but it can make me more oily throughout the day, and it also can like accentuate, you know, some textures, some pores I got going on. This primer, highlighter, whatever you want to call it, I use it as like an under glowy primer. Gives me the glow, gives me the radiance, feels so luxe and so nice, but it doesn't have the same type of sheen. I would say the glow on this, how I've described it before, is almost like a matte glow, and I know that sounds so contradictory, but I really don't know how else to explain it. It gives you a beautiful sheen, but it doesn't make your skin look literally actually wet. You can tell that it's just kind of shiny and glowy. I'll zoom in a little bit here, but I love this primer so much. You guys already know. This made me realize like, oh, maybe it doesn't all have to just be a name and expensive. It could actually be good product, and that's how this is. I'm almost done with this bottle. I will for sure repurchase it. It is just stunning. I also love this because I don't feel like it makes me more oily throughout the day, and I find that with a lot of glowy, any type of like luminous products like that, it tends to be the case, unfortunately, but this one is just so beautiful. So here it is. Hopefully I don't have any like random missing spots I haven't blended. So you can see the glow for sure, but I don't feel like it emphasizes texture. It doesn't necessarily give you any coverage, so I feel like the Hollywood Flawless Filter does that. I mean, I'm not trying to say they're one for one, but it definitely is in that family of products. I absolutely love this though. Definitely not just a flex. I will say another thing with like the, you know, designer products, something that I do look for, and I feel like I can kind of get my quote unquote money's worth out of, if we want to go there. I do want luxurious packaging. I feel like that is a big part of what you're paying for. I don't know a ton about like ingredients and all of that, but I feel like there's only a certain level of ingredients at some point, and formulations even at some point. And so for me, a lot of the experience of that designer and like luxury category comes in nice packaging, and this is really nice as well. It has obviously some logos, it has some flex to it, okay? But it also has a glass bottle. I feel like the pump is nice, like all that. It feels a little weighted because it's actually like nicer material. So I really love this product. I think it's definitely worth the money. It's not just a flex, it's like literally a really great product. That was kind of my intro. I was like, maybe some of this stuff is actually pretty good. So let's get into foundation. The only designer foundation that I have is from Gucci, and I recently tried this in a video and it oxidized so bad. This is the shade 160N, and it's a fair shade. And if it was just this color, it would look pretty good, but I feel like as it dries, it does kind of deepen a bit, so it ends up being like too dark on my skin and just kind of looks overall makeup-y is what I learned from this. So what I'm gonna do today, we're gonna try it a different way. We're gonna see if we can make it work for us. This one's pretty mattifying. Like it says it's a natural finish, but I do find this to be pretty matte. So I'm gonna do like a pump of this, and I thought I would mix it with this Exa foundation. I tried this more recently because the first time I tried this, I did not have a good experience, but the second time was really great. So I think I just didn't shake it enough because it's more natural. Anyway, I feel like this is light enough to kind of combat some of the darkness, hopefully, but also maybe give it a little bit more radiance is what I'm hoping here. I'm also going to try to go pretty light overall with my foundation. I'm just trying to make this thing work because obviously at this point, I would have to say I don't think that the Gucci is necessarily right unless you get the right color. Maybe I just have a bad match. Maybe a different shade would just be a better, you know, thing for me. But I also feel like you gotta want a more mattifying foundation if you have oily skin. I also feel like if you're craving or really want like smooth skin, I do feel like it gave me that look. So if you can find that perfect match where it's not gonna look too much like a mask on you because it actually like, you know, matches nicely, it will give you a very perfected look. I just have been struggling to make this one specifically really work for me. I tend to like something more serum-y, but the thing is, I don't necessarily want something that is going to be too oily or too moisturizing where it's not going to hold up throughout the day. So this one just doesn't seem to be working for me, but obviously other people do like it, like Tina loves it. So it's not that it's like a bad product overall. It just isn't completely right for me. I feel like I'm making it work better today though, for sure. And even now it still feels even slightly more mattifying than I normally do, or just like the coverage is just different than I normally do. And that might also be just like a learning process for myself as I kind of transition away from really glowy stuff. Okay, so I have it mostly applied onto my face and I think the coverage looks pretty dang nice. I really like that I mixed it just for color, if anything, and it did also kind of make it a little less mattifying. I'm taking a brush now. I'm gonna zoom you in so you can really see what everything's looking like, but I'm just using this to get a little bit of extra coverage. And I do think if you use a brush, you're gonna get the most coverage from this foundation. I don't know, I feel like it just definitely is a foundation. It's not one of those like natural, you're getting coverage, which might be exactly what you want. I just think I was under a different impression of what this was gonna be like. I feel like this portion I'm putting on right now isn't as blended with the other foundation, so it's looking a little darker. I don't know if you can even tell that just on my nose, how it looks a little bit more yellow. I feel like that's more the true Gucci foundation coming through, not necessarily the one mixed with the Exa, but here is my foundation. For me, this one is just a flex and it's not really working as a true makeup item on its own for myself, but I do think that this obviously will work for some people, just for the right person. Next, we're gonna move on to some concealer. I actually have two designer concealers here. One is from Dior, and this is the Forever Skin Correct. I got this last year. This is the lightest shade 0N, and I really love this actually. It's one of those like mega doe foot applicators. This is what it looks like. I feel like the color works really nice for me, especially right now. I feel like in winter, it's just a tad bit on the dark side, but currently it's a perfect like slightly brightening under eye, but not like stark at all. So I love that. It's probably the one I'm going to use today, but the other one I have here, this is a little bit newer, the Givenchy Prism Libre Skin Caring Concealer. I also really have been enjoying this. Another one of those mega doe foot applicators. This one's in the shade W110, so you can see it's a little bit warmer, but I really do like this as well. But what's so interesting is, as much as it looks fine under the eyes, I actually have been enjoying this more as like an all over kind of light skin tint. So usually I'll apply like moisturizer, some sunscreen, some primer, like have a lot of those moisturizing things going on, and then I'll kind of just use the doe foot, spread it all over and kind of blend it out, give myself a light coverage overall. And I really loved this for that. But today I'm gonna go with the Dior. I just love this more as a concealer, and so what I'll do is I'll put it on like this. I'll put it on anywhere that I want it, which is usually 2 little dots under my eyes, and then I also will put a little bit on the redness that I kind of always have in these two areas. It's like my natural little blush moment, my splotchy little natural blush, and I let that sit. So I'm gonna let that sit while I do my bronzer. Since my bronzer is not designer, I don't think I've ever had like a true designer bronzer that I can think of, but I'm gonna use the Pat McGrath today. This is still luxury, but that was a big difference for this video. I wasn't trying to just do luxury makeup like Natasha Denona, Pat McGrath, you know, so many of the brands that are even at Sephora or like Chantecaille or any of those brands that I still consider in this like luxury realm. If they didn't have a fashion house attached, they really weren't what I was considering for this video, because I do think it's different. And you'll have to let me know if you have more experience in this world of like luxury makeup. I feel like I'm, again, just kind of dipping my toe in. But I feel like for luxury makeup price points for brands that only do makeup, I think of them just a little bit differently. And I don't necessarily only think of them as like flexes, because they don't necessarily have that designer name attached to them, even if they're outrageously priced. You know what I mean? But anyway, I'm using the Pat McGrath. I just wanted to get more thoughts on this. It's a newer bronzer, and I really like letting the Dior concealer kind of set a little. It just like dries just a little and kind of thickens up in a way that makes it really nice to blend out, and I find it gives good coverage. But we're getting a more full-on look today for sure. I can tell you that much. So I'm gonna finish up my bronzer once I blend this out now, and I really love using a sponge with this once it's kind of dried down. It really is so great for smoothing, and I find on days even when I have a lower coverage all over my face but I just want that brightness, this looks so good and gives me a nice amount of coverage that I really enjoy. So I think that the Dior concealer, which is a favorite, like I feel like a lot of people love it, so I feel like this one is not just a flex, it's actually pretty dang good. I really like it. I also find that that one helps, like if I'm just having a rough foundation day, it can really help with like things on my nose or whatnot. So really love that. You can see the brightness, really smoothing also. Very, very pretty. I feel like we can let the hair down a little bit now that we have bronzer on and all of that. We're going to move on to blush. I only have a few blush options, and unfortunately no cream blushes in the designer realm. So if you have a favorite cream blush from a designer, let me know down below. I of course have the viral sensation that is the Dior Backstage Rosy Glow Blush. That was so hard to say. This is the coral one. I don't have like the pink one, and to be honest, I'm kind of just like, okay, like it's okay. I'm gonna use it with a natural hair brush because I feel like that is the best way to really pick up product overall. Like I said, this is just one of those blushes. I'm gonna do different blushes on each side, so I hope you're okay. And maybe I'll change my mind. I actually filmed this video once before, and as I was doing the video, I actually was like changing my mind about products. I was like, what is happening? So I'm open to the fact that different products work differently at different times. Sometimes you just need that perfect moment to like get into it. But this is my issue with this product, and also I get why people like it, but it's just not my thing. This just always makes my skin look a little, I guess, flat. Like it's added the color, right? But it looks a little flat, and I wouldn't say it looks powdery. Like there's no necessarily detectable powder on my face, but I just don't feel like it enhances my natural skin or any of that, at least on initial application. Like, is it pretty? Yeah, I've never fallen in love. Like I've never got the hype. You know what I mean? Like this looks fine. It looks fine. It looks fine, you know? But this is even over a not powdered face. So I can't imagine trying to put this on after you've powdered your face. Like how do people even get any of this product on? I've just always felt like I've had to work so hard to get the product onto my cheeks to actually be able to see it. And then even once I do see it, I'm not personally just like wowed. I don't think. So that is the color. All right, you guys can decide what you want to on that. For the other side of my face, I am going to be using this Chanel Quad. This is new. I think it's limited edition as well. It came in two different colors. This one is the Tendresse color, and it was the lighter of the two, and I have been loving this. So you can see it's definitely been used. I've been wearing this a lot. There's also some hard pen in here, so I don't love that about it. I will say that. I don't love that these have gotten hard pan so easily, it feels like. I don't know if all Chanel blushes do that, because this is really my first introduction to a Chanel blush. I was really excited to get the value. I mean, this palette I think is right at the $100 mark, but for 4 blushes I was really excited because I think a regular Chanel blush runs about like $50-ish, like in that ballpark. So I felt like for 4, pretty good value, you know. Considering, you know what I mean? Anyway, I'm gonna mix these two. That's what I've been doing for my blushes. I also like using more real hair brushes with these blushes because again, I'm having those hard pan issues. And usually I will use this on top of a cream. That's like my favorite way to apply. And then like toward the end of my makeup application, I'll apply this. But I really do like these better than the Dior for sure. I'm applying it here. I don't know what it is about the Dior. It's weird because I always want to be like, it's not powdery, but there's something about it. It almost looks like a filter, but in a way that I don't actually love. So I'm gonna put that on and then I'm gonna use a little bit of the glowy one here. Just kind of buff on top. Kind of buff around. One of the things that's really important to me when I'm buying a blush palette, whether it's like a luxury designer one or any blush palette, is I want all the colors to work for me. That's how I get the most value obviously out of it. And I really feel like I can use every single one of these blushes. So this is actually a really great pickup for me. It was so fun to have a Chanel product. I'm not gonna lie, like a little bit of the flex going on. Not that I want to flex on other people, but you know, it's like exciting to have a little thing with the Chanel on it. Like, come on, I'm not above it, I'll say it. I also have really loved this neutral blush, not only as a blush, but as an eyeshadow when I'm on a really natural day. I just want to get ready. This really has come in handy. I can use all the different shades in here to really construct an eye and cheek look. Add some mascara, add some brows, add a little glowy lip, and it's been really perfect. So this one I've actually really loved. I could also see someone just liking an individual Chanel blush, but there is some hard panning issues. I really hate that. You can get rid of hard pan with a little bit of tape if you want, or like a spoolie, you could scratch it off, but obviously no one likes hard pan at all. So this one I think is worth it. This one, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. I haven't fallen in love yet. I'll zoom us in again just so you can really see. So this is the Chanel. And then this one obviously is the Dior. I don't know. Can you tell a difference? Can you see that slight difference? I don't know if it's coming through on camera, but there's just almost something kind of like flat about this one, even though it has a punch of color. And I think it might also be just the finish. The finish of it doesn't have any shine. It doesn't have like the life to it, at least to me. So yeah, anyway, I feel like they look fine enough that we're gonna keep them separate and I'm not gonna like tinker with them anyway, but I definitely prefer the Chanel side for sure. For highlighter, I have this Dior Quad. This is the Backstage Glow Face Palette. This is a product that took a second to grow on me, and I think that's why I have hope that maybe the blush will grow on me. Like maybe at some point I'll love this. Here it is on my fingers. I know the other one is very popular as well. I wanted this one because it's a little bit more neutral. So here we are. I really love this as another kind of all over face palette. To say that this one's worth it, I go back and forth. Like I think for the right person, I can see people loving it, but if someone were like, I don't love it, I could also understand why they said that. Like I get both sides on this one. And I also want to just mention with the Dior, at least in this packaging, I do not think that they are giving the luxury packaging on this. Like this feels pretty cheap. It doesn't really have a weight to it. It's not, I mean, it's aesthetic overall, but I feel like what you see once you get it in your hands, you're like, oh, it's a little bit dinkier than you maybe want to be happening. So just something I thought I'd mention. So my favorite shade in this palette is this one down here. It's this really beautiful, neutrally, pretty sparkly highlighter. I really love a chunkier, glitterier highlight, especially in a neutral tone. So I think this one's really pretty. So I'm going to show you my favorite way to apply it and how I like to first kind of prep my skin in preparation for it. I like to spray my face down with a little bit of mist because that product is a little bit dry, a little bit flaky. And I find if you're putting it on a surface that has absolutely no tack or is already powdered, it's just not going to stick as well. So I like to take this time and spray my face down. I'm using MAC Fix Plus and I'm gonna let it dry a little. Like I just don't want a freshly powdered face, you know what I'm saying? And then for actual application, I do a couple different things. Sometimes I'll use a more pointed brush. Sometimes I'll use a more sweeping brush if I don't want tons of product. Today I'm just using this. It's kind of like a flat powder. Some people do it for that, but I'm just gonna use it and kind of just buff all in that outer corner cheekbone area. And so I just kind of buff it on like that. And this gives a nice like kind of wet shine look. I think it is so pretty. I love it for that. It has a little bit of a golden sheen, but on this one, nothing that's too golden I feel like kind of looks a little jarring, I guess. and I love it. So stunning. If you want a wet shine look, this is a really good one. I also love just using like the Fenty Diamond Balm or any of those really sparkly highlighters. I think they look really great. Usually I'll take this type of highlighter also on my nose, but I'll usually use my finger because I just find I can press it a little bit better exactly where I want to. Whereas again, because it's like a more fluffy formula or dry formula, if I use a brush, I can't control it necessarily exactly how I want. And that's really my favorite way to use it. That's the color I use the most in here. I also like the peach shade as well. Sometimes I'll use the bronzer as an all over kind of bronzy moment or on my eyes. I don't use the golden color as much. I don't use a ton of golden highlights in general. So for this one, I feel like it's an in-between. Like I slightly feel like it is a flex in that it's aesthetic and cute. I feel like the Dior stuff, especially when I think of like Instagram girlies, like this is the flex on Instagram, just Dior anything. But I do think it also has a place. I just don't think it's for everyone. Like it is definitely not the highlighter palette for everyone. So know who you are to know if this will work for you. But I'm glad that I made it work in my collection. I'm glad that I did find a way to like it. And it's moments like that with products that remind me that sometimes you just need to come back and revisit things or be at a different place or a different season. Like all of that can change how you like stuff, how products work on your skin, all of that. All right, I'm gonna powder a little bit. I've been loving this one in this Too Faced palette. I know, an oldie and definitely not designer, but I don't have any designer powders at all. I love that this like sets my makeup and gives me the tiniest bit of luminosity because it's not a super flat powder, but also, you know, gets rid of shine, gets rid of texture. So pretty. I'm gonna do my brows. I'm just using my normal products, the Persona and the Rowan, because I, again, don't have any designer brow products. That is something I haven't just had the interest. I love color cosmetics the most, whether it's blushes or eyeshadows, that type of stuff. Even though sometimes like you can go both ways where designer brow products, mascaras, eyeliners, things that are more technically like utilitarian or might be more utilitarian in your routine could be worse or better values depending on how you look at it. Like if it's about how much you use it and that you actually, you know, finish a product, it might be better. But if you want something to like stay in your collection longer, it might be worse. You know what I mean? Anyways, let me focus on my brows. Okay, my brows are looking a little rough today, I feel like. All right, just be kind about them. They're having a rough moment and a rough go of the day. But let's move on. I'm so excited to do eyes because this is one of the biggest changes or change of hearts I've kind of had recently. So I'm just priming my eyes with my Alter Ego primer. This is the one I've been really loving lately, if I'm not using like a cream shadow as a base. All right, we're using Tom Ford for the eyes today. I don't think that I'm gonna use the Duo because I've definitely done videos using this before, so I will try to leave that link down below if you really want to see how this Duo works. But this one also had a bit of a learning curve, and that's what I'm trying to say with like the designer makeup. Some of it is just a little more subtle than I'm used to coming from like indie and colorful makeup. So this is the Peach Duo. Golden peach, I think it is. That's the cream. It has a cream on the bottom. This is so stunning, okay? This cream looks so good just alone. It looks absolutely beautiful. It's kind of like a satin, but it's such a luxe satin, and I feel like that's where designer makeup and eyeshadow tends to do a really great job. They're like those really beautiful satins, and I used to just, you know, write off satins, and that's part of the issue. Which you don't have to like satins, so if you don't like satins, probably designer eyeshadows are like the worst to you, but satins have their place for sure. And then it has a topper shade that is more sparkly, and then you can layer them on top, and it looks so pretty. This is one of those eye looks that the first time I wore it, I was just like, it looks fine, like it's okay, it's kind of nothing special, but I got compliments on my eye look multiple times throughout the day. It was one of those ones that once I actually went out and participated in the world, it looked so much better in regular light, natural light, not just in my room, you know, and it convinced me. So pretty. Love that. I don't think those are available anymore. Some of y'all are scaring me saying you don't think Tom Ford is going to be around for too much longer, but I don't know why they got rid of the Duos. But the other products that I have here, I do have 3 of the face palettes. So these face palettes are like right at the $100 mark for 4 shadows, like for quads. I think I was just calling them face palettes. They're eye palettes. palettes, obviously. This is the first one that I ever got. This is a little bit different, abnormal, I would say overall, for the finishes that you usually get in these eyeshadow palettes. This is the Lava Luster quad, and these are all really glistening, like topper type shades. And you know, since I got this, I wasn't that impressed. I was kind of just like, whatever, you know, but I used this the other day and it was just stunning. I'm like, what is my problem? What is going on with me? Absolutely beautiful. And I know that looking at it, like every time I swatch it, every time I look at it, but I just wasn't connecting with it on my eyes. But the last time I used it, ooh, it looked so good. Really liked it as toppers. So this one definitely has more sparkle and shine. A lot of the quads from Tom Ford are a lot of shimmers. So if you love mattes, you're gonna wanna like look out for specific ones, because in general, it's another kind of running theme with a lot of the designer eyeshadow quads and quints, because usually there aren't like massive palettes. There aren't tons and tons of like straight up matte shades. The other two that I have here, this one is called Body Heat. These two I bought off of recommendation from Michelle Wong, because obviously, because I had to. I was like, okay, those are the ones I need, her favorite ones. I'm gonna get those and try them. And this is more of that like baked formula. You can use it wet or dry. And again, like the first couple times I've used this, and like multiple times actually that I've used these on my eyes, I just wasn't connecting with it. But the last time I did it, I was like, wait a minute, like this looks so good. So I'm hoping I have that experience today and that wasn't a fluke. And then the last one here, this one is called First Frost. And this one is also more of that like satiny kind of baked formula. And again, I've only more recently gotten into a finish like this. I think it's just really flattering on the eyes. If you're wanting makeup, it's just kind of slightly enhancing things. I feel like this kind of like satiny baked formula is so perfect, because it does let a little bit of light in. It has a little bit of shimmer, but it's not so shimmery that maybe it's emphasizing some texture on your lid that maybe you don't want to emphasize. I'm understanding it. Like as I get older, I'm like, huh, maybe there's something to this. Not that there's any right or wrong way to do your makeup. I feel like you should do your makeup however you feel beautiful and however you want to express yourself, but I get it. I get it a little bit more. I'll say that. That being said, let's create a look. I definitely love this shade from the Body Heat quad. I love that. I'm going to put that just all over my eyes and see what happens, because it's also light enough to kind of blend into my crease. So I'm just going to use a brush first and just start blending it on. And again, this is one of those formulas in regular lighting. It's like this subtly luxe thing. I don't think that you can't find formulas like this. I have some drugstore quads from Revlon that I really like, that I feel like are in this same realm if you're like interested. I did a drugstore that feels luxury video. I'll try to remember to link that down below. Just subtle and beautiful, you know? You gotta like subtle though, and you have to be willing to pay shit tons of money for subtle. Do you want to do that? I don't know. In a lot of ways, that's when I feel like the Tom Ford does feel kind of just like a flex, because it is such neutral tones, but at the same time, I mean, it does look really good, and I kind of get it. I know, I'm so annoying. This one's an in-between moment for me, if you can't tell. I think I'm gonna use this as like a topper shade. That's like my favorite shade. I always use this one. I'm kind of tempted to use the golden because I'm wearing like an orange top and I feel like the warmth would look nice. So we'll see which one I actually go with, but I do want to kind of smoke out this like outer part of my eye. So I'm going to go into this shade here first and just kind of run that near my lash line. This would also look really good on top of like a liner, and then start smoking it out with this shadow as well. I would say overall, like the definition that you get from the Tom Ford stuff isn't super harsh definition, which I think also can play into that more flattering look. Obviously you can manipulate it a lot of different ways, but I just feel like overall. All right, I just did like a kind of, I would call it literally a sloppy wing. That's what I would say right now. And I'm just gonna take my finger and kind of blend it. Now I am gonna go with the golden shade, I think. Go a little different for me. And I'm just gonna tap that in this front portion, just right on top. You could lay down like a stickier base, but I kind of am okay with it being a little more fleeting. All right, I like where the look is so far, so I'm just going to, I think, I did bring out more of a bronzy eyeliner. I'm gonna use this a little bit on the lower lash line. This is not designer, it's just from Rowan, which is like a luxury beauty brand to me, but they don't have like any type of fashion house or anything like that attached, so they don't really count in the same way. I'm keeping that pretty light though, and then I'm just blending out. I'm now going in with a mascara. Now this to me is the definition of designer luxury beauty. This is from Christian Louboutin, and it is a mascara. This is specifically the Lift Ultima mascara in black, and the packaging is stunning. It definitely has that like luxury vibe. It's also so weighted, so heavy. So to me, this is like, whoa, all this for a mascara? I know. It's a lot. I can't imagine repurchasing this like every 4 months or 3 months when you need to replace your mascara. I've used this many, many times. I've actually had it a while, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes on at this moment. I feel like this gives me a lot of volume over the length, but I actually really quite like the wand because it's easy to get to the base of my lashes and really kind of work up. I don't feel like it's anything spectacular, but this is one of those like definitely flex items to me, because you pull this out of your makeup bag, oh my gosh, like it's fancy. It definitely gives fancy to me for sure. I'm like happy to have tried it. I just don't know if I'd repurchase it. I'm like, I wish this had a refill. Like I wish the outer packaging could be kept and then you just get the refill tube. That would make more sense to me, but I don't really know. And I'm not saying this is right, but I don't think luxury is really about sustainability, unfortunately. But it's nice and black. Like it's a solid mascara overall. It's just like $50 something. I bought this from Selfridges, which sometimes you can get makeup and perfume cheaper over there. I don't understand exactly why, but they're like UK based, something about that. And so I saved a little bit of money on it, but man, I can't imagine. This one's, to me, as much as it works, like flex. Total flex. All right, I'm spending entirely way too long trying to like fix my wings, so I'm giving up. I'm gonna take a little bit of this from Dior. I'm taking that peach shade. I really like that more as like an inner corner, and then I buff it out. I'm also gonna take a little bit of the one I used actually as my highlighter, and I'm just dusting that right under my brow bone. All right, we're on to lips. Let me zoom out a little bit. For lips, I have quite a few products. I do have one lip liner. I have a Gucci lip liner. I bought this last year during one of the sales, and it's okay. I don't know. I think it's more the color of this doesn't work for me the absolute best. I have the shade 01. I like the overall formula of this pencil. I think this retails for right at like $30. So, you know, that's a lot of money for a lip pencil, but a one item thing it could be worth, you know what I mean? I'm glad it's not 50. I don't know. This specific color though is just a little bit, it's like a brown nude tone, but it's a little bit warmer than I want. And I feel like the oranginess just doesn't really line my lips quite how I would love to most of the time. Again, not bad. This one feels a little bit like a flex though, just because I have so many other lip liners I truly love. And if this were the right color, I'd put it on every day. I'd love it. But color is just a little off for me. Plus the Gucci has this floral thing going on that's definitely what's happening with this product, as well as some lipsticks. So I have 2 lipsticks here. These were actually gifted to me from my friend Hannah. Hannah always posted. She sent me a set of 3 of these for like kind of a birthday gift, which was so sweet of her, like a year ago now. So this one here is called They Met in Argentina. It's like a beautiful like corally red. It's like a soft terracotta. I guess that's more what I'd call it. So there's that one. And then the one I really quite love is this one here. This is a different formula. It's the shade Goldie Red, and it looks so intimidating. But what I love about this is that it has a sheerness. It's so beautiful. Such a pretty color for like summer or like any of those sheer kind of balmy red tints. I really love that. And then the other one that came in the set was just a balm. And I like all of these a lot. I really feel like for aesthetic to me, these are stunning. But I'm not the best to give you a review on like tons of bullet lip products. That's definitely not my wheelhouse, but the colors are beautiful. The only thing is they do have a bit of that floral taste to them. I notice a lot of that happening in designer houses, similar to this Givenchy one. This is not obviously a bullet lipstick. This is a cream lip balm type product. I actually am finding myself liking this more and more. So I initially was like, not worth it, flex basically, but now I'm kind of like, It's kind of pretty. Actually, I kind of like that. This is like beautiful, marbled. I feel like the luxury is there when it comes to the packaging on this one. This is like a minty floral taste. I don't love that about it, but it's pretty hydrating. It feels nice and cushiony and balmy on my lips, and the color is nice as well. Don't know why I hated this so much when I got it. Probably price. I think, you know, the price on some of this stuff, you have high expectations. You really want it to be something that blows you out of the water. And if it doesn't blow you out of the water the first time you use it, it can feel kind of like a waste. But with a little more time, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, that's nice. But I also feel like the price of this has softened on me a bit with time too. So there's that. Last few lip products before I pick something to actually put on my lips. This one is from Chanel, my only other Chanel makeup item at all. This is the Coco Rouge Flash in the shade Boy. This was one of those products that just had so many memories to me because I always remember Tiffany, Makeup by Tiffany D loving this, I believe. I hope I'm not wrong on that because, man, I attribute it to her, so. But that is what it looks like. It's like this sheer kind of balmy lipstick that has some shine. I'm gonna actually put this one on. I think this is what I want to wear. This also just kind of has that, like, I don't know, it's almost like powdery, but this is kind of thin. I thought this would be a little bit more like a better mouth feel, lip feel. To me, this feels like a little bit thin, and I always feel like there's stuff caught in my lip product. Do you know that feeling? Like, you know, you put a gloss on and it just feels like there's little like floaties in it. I feel like that when I wear this one, like almost every single time. And that's similar to how I feel with these YSL lip products. These are another very classic, like, look at the beauty of this. This is aesthetic. This is flex. Like, flex to me is also subbing in for the word aesthetic, to be honest. These are the Rouge Volupte Shine. I have the shade 150. Let's see if I can do this. This is 150, and this is more similar to the Chanel one in the sense that they're sheer and balmy and have a little bit of a glossy look to them. I was actually able to get these buy one, get one, I want to say free. So it was like half off the price. I was like, my dreams are coming true. YSL lipstick, yes. It was like around Black Friday when that was happening. This is that same formula in the shade 123, and that's it there. So it's a little less. This one's almost like a sheer red. It has like something kind of bright. This one's more like a coral. Have a little bit more of like a fruity thing going on, and I know that should be better, but I'm still kind of like not convinced on that. I still don't love how fruity. I don't know, there's something off about it to me. I still don't love it. And again, these are a little bit thin in formula, and so they feel not as plush as I expected, not as comforting. I just have so many other sheer balmy type of products that I feel like feel better on my lips. And again, these kind of give me that like floaty feeling, like there's like sand and grit, and it's not that anything comes off of the lip product that gives me the grit. It's like somehow as it's like on my lips, it like I don't know, even when I really exfoliate my lips, like have them totally prepped, ready to go, I still feel like I have that kind of weird feeling. So to me, the Chanel and the YSL, I have not fallen in love with in a way that makes them worth it to me for like especially full price, but damn are they aesthetic, damn are they beautiful. Like I love them in terms of like how they make my makeup vanity look, like in that way, you know, my makeup bag look, like I love that. They feel a little bit more like a flex. I feel like the Gucci have more substance to them. I do like the formulas better. I don't love the taste and like kind of the floral thing going on. But like for this more sheer one, I love this formula way better than I do these other ones from the designer houses. I really quite like it. And then this one I just haven't given tons of chances because I'm not a bullet lipstick person most of the time. I've only more recently even been getting into lipsticks again and just like lip products in general. But I definitely think if you're gonna go for the designer out of all these like lipstick tubes here, I would definitely suggest the Gucci over the YSL and the Chanel for sure. Let's put this on though. I'm gonna put the Givenchy little lip balm lip gloss thing. This one just has a better mouthfeel too. Like if you're going for the shine, go for this over again like the Chanel one, and the color is very similar. This is the Givenchy, that's the Chanel. This one's a little warmer, but still. Like, it feels really nice. I don't know why I hated on this. I like kind of take it back. We finally found our common ground. And that is the final look, you guys. Oh my gosh, we don't need to zoom out that much. Probably trash all over my floor. I'm a trashy girl, what can I say? Anyway, this is the final look. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope my wings look semi-decent. I've just been trying to experiment a little bit more with that and kind of go out of my comfort zone. Finished look, I think the makeup looks really, really good. I'm into the eyes. I feel like my skin looks really nice. It's kind of settled in a nice nice way. Definitely like cutting that Gucci foundation. But I'd love to know what you guys think. I'd love to know your favorite designer makeup, what you think is worth it out there, what's not a flex, what's actually good. And I'd love to know some things you've tried that aren't as good. Any of your recommendations, any of your warnings, I really appreciate, because I'd love to try some other products. This is definitely my first kind of, you know, dipping the toe into the designer makeup world. And as much as I'm a little skeptical, it's been a lot of fun. I think I've been trying makeup for so long that I feel like this next world, like the realm of luxury and kind of designer, is enticing to me because it's new still. Like it's still a little bit unknown, and it's kind of fun to figure out what's worth it. All of those prices, my gosh, you know what I mean? So if you did like it, give it a thumbs up if you're still here. That really does help. And other than that, thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.